you hear that? That's the sound of pure, unfiltered power. He didn't just box, he unleashed a force that turned men into legends and legends into myths. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on stage the human wrecking ball, the knockout king, and the guy who could probably knock you out just by looking at you funny. This is no other but Mike Tyson.
I'm the best ever. There's no one that can match me. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been.
But how did this kid from the mean streets of Brooklyn become the most feared man in the boxing world? Buckle up. This story's got it all. Brownsville beginnings, survival of the fittest. Let's start in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Now, Brownsville wasn't just any neighborhood. Imagine the toughest streets you've ever seen, then crank that up a notch. It was one of the roughest, most unforgiving places in New York. A smack dab in the middle of it, young Michael Gerard Tyson was born in 1966 into a life that didn't come with any mercy. He was surrounded by hardships most of us only see in movies. Most kids had toys growing up. Mike had, well, a different childhood. Let's just say he didn't have an option to be soft. By the time he was just 13, Tyson had been arrested a jaw-dropping 38 times. Mike was like a one-man most wanted list. He was learning life's lessons the hard way, on the streets and in those juvenile centers. Most kids collect baseball cards. Young Mike collected misdemeanors. But behind that tough exterior was a kid who was just trying to survive. Let's just say, if you wanted to be a neighborhood bully and you saw this kid around, you'd think twice. Mike didn't back down. He was born with a heart of a fighter, and that heart would soon catch the attention of a boxing genius. In one of these detention centers, Mike met his first mentor, Bobby Stewart, a former boxer. Stewart saw something in him, a raw, undeniable power, and that's when Mike first tested what boxing could be, not just a sport, but a way out. And soon, destiny was calling. Cuz D'Amato, the boxing sage. Then came the man who changed everything. Cuz D'Amato, the boxing guru with a mind as sharp as his fists were back in the day. Imagine Yoda, but for boxing. Cuz wasn't just a coach, he was a visionary who knew how to forge champions. He saw in Mike something more than just strength. He saw raw, untamed potential. Cuz took Tyson under his wing and drilled into him the mindset of a true champion. And from that day on, they were unstoppable. Cuz wasn't just showing Mike how to fight, he was reprogramming him. He introduced the legendary peekaboo style, hands up, elbows in, ready to strike with speed and power. And boy, did Mike take to it like a fish to water. Within months, Mike wasn't just a kid learning boxing, he was becoming a weapon. With Cuz's guidance, Tyson transformed from a scrappy street kid into a machine, a fighter with the mind of a predator and the fists to back it up. Cuz taught Mike that champions aren't just born, they're made, and together they forged a bond, one that wasn't just about boxing, but about trust, respect, and the will to be unstoppable. Cuz made Tyson believe he wasn't just a fighter, he was a force. Breaking records, youngest heavyweight champion ever. After years of training, Tyson was unleashed on the professional circuit, and the world wasn't ready. Picture this, a 20-year-old kid with fists of dynamite stepping into the ring with men twice his size and sending them flying like rag dolls. This wasn't just boxing, it was like watching a human wrecking ball in action. Tyson didn't waste time. His fights were like fireworks, over in a flash. Some guys lasted just seconds. Opponents knew what they were up against, and yet no one could stand up to that raw power. Mike's expression after knocking someone out was priceless. He looked like he'd just finished his grocery shopping, not leveled another human being. The man was a walking highlight reel. And then came the night that would make history. November 22, 1986, Tyson squared off against Trevor Berbick, aiming to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Now, this wasn't just a fight, it was a statement. He was just 20 years old, but he carried himself with the presence of a giant. And after just 2 rounds, bam! Tyson annihilates Berbick. Tyson delivered a knockout so powerful it looked like Berbick was dancing just trying to stay on his feet. And just like that, Iron Mike became the youngest heavyweight champion in history. He'd achieved the impossible, and he made it look easy. That night, Tyson didn't just win a title, he etched his name into the history books. The baddest man on the planet was officially crowned, and everyone knew it. And that's how you tell the world, hey, I'm here and I'm not playing around. I mean, some guys bring flowers to announce their arrival. Tyson brings knockouts. Living larger than life, fame, fortune, and the pet tiger. Now, what do you do when you're young, rich, and practically invincible? If you're Mike Tyson, you live like a king, and not just any king, a king with a taste for the wild. We're talking about luxury mansions, million-dollar cars, and, oh, did we mention the tigers? Yep, Tyson had some of the most ferocious pets around. At one point, Iron Mike owned not 1 but 3 Bengal tigers. These weren't just cats, they were 400-pound giants with a serious wild side. Imagine the doorbell rings and instead of "Beware of Dog" sign, it says "Beware of Tiger." Or maybe you're Mike Tyson's mailman. You knock and a tiger answers the door. Talk about a heart stopper. Tyson had to part with 2 of the tigers as they got bigger, donating them to a sanctuary where they could roam free. But he kept one close. Kenya, a tiger he loved and looked after for 16 years. That's dedication. Raising a tiger is no joke, especially one that size. But here's where things get wild. Tyson shared that one day someone decided it'd be a good idea to jump over his fence to play with the tiger. Bad move. Kenya didn't exactly respond well to an uninvited guest, and things got ugly. Let's just say it ended with this person's arm in, well, pretty rough shape. But Tyson, ever the big-hearted guy, made sure to compensate the unlucky soul, despite winning the court case. Since they were trespassing, Tyson handed over $250,000 to them out of his own pocket. Talk about a hands-on settlement. But when you're living life at full speed, there's a cost. Tyson was on top of the world, but the cracks were starting to show. The fame, the fortune, the pressure. And soon, it would all come crashing down. The fall, scandals, convictions, and time behind bars. And then came the darkness. In 1992, Tyson was convicted of rape, marking one of the darkest moments in his life. This wasn't just a personal downfall, it was a national scandal. Tyson went from hero to headline, his every move scrutinized, his name dragged through the mud. Tyson was sentenced to 6 years, a tragic turn for a man who had it all. Behind bars, he wrestled with the weight of his choices, the pressure of his fame, and the broken pieces of his once unbreakable spirit. It was a fall from grace that no one saw coming. This was the man who could knock out champions, but now he was fighting battles he couldn't win with his fists. The knockout king was defeated. Redemption and the return to the ring. But Tyson wasn't done yet. After serving 3 years, he came back. And if there's one thing Tyson knew, it was how to fight. But this time, he wasn't just fighting for titles, he was fighting to rebuild his life, his reputation. And though he faced more ups and downs, Tyson's comeback wasn't just about boxing. It was about showing the world and himself that he was more than his mistakes. With every punch, every knockout, Tyson showed the world he still had it. But then came the moment that no one could forget, and some might wish they could forget. The ear bite heard around the world. Now, you didn't think we'd forget that moment, did you? The moment that took Tyson's bad boy reputation to a whole new level? June 28, 1997, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield, Round 2, the heavyweight rematch of the century. Fans were hyped, stakes were high, and Tyson was ready to reclaim his title after Holyfield's shocking victory in their first bout. But let's just say things got messy. And by messy, we mean Mike decided to have a little snack in the middle of the fight. Yep, Tyson went for Holyfield's ear, chomped down, and boom, took out a chunk. It was the bite heard round the world. Talk about taking a fight up close and personal. Tyson wasn't just in Holyfield's head, he was in his ear. Now, some folks might call that unsportsmanlike, but hey, you can't say Mike didn't leave a lasting impression. The ref had seen enough. Tyson was disqualified, and the fight descended into chaos. Fans were outraged, commentators were speechless, and the boxing world had just witnessed one of the most infamous moments in sports history. Tyson was fined $3 million and had his license temporarily revoked. But that one chomp became legendary. And here's the thing, Tyson and Holyfield eventually made peace, even laughing about it on talk shows. Iron Mike turned the whole saga into a story of redemption and humility. Tyson has often joked about it since, and even Holyfield came around, turning one of the most shocking moments into a story of forgiveness. Only in the world of Mike Tyson could biting someone's ear somehow end up as a part of his journey to redemption. A crazy chapter in a wild career. But hey, that's Iron Mike for you. Never a dull moment. The Comeback King, reinvention, reflection, and peace. After years of chaos, Mike Tyson found a new path. He reinvented himself. From the knockout artist to a talk show host, a businessman, a cannabis entrepreneur, and even a philosopher of sorts. His podcast, Hotboxing with Mike Tyson, showed a different side. A reflective, wise, sometimes hilarious Tyson who could laugh at his past and move forward. He showed us all that a fighter isn't just the guy who lands punches. A fighter is someone who gets knocked down, who struggles, who messes up, but who never gives up. Mike Tyson didn't just win in the ring, he won at life. So here's to Mike Tyson, a fighter, a legend, and a man who turned every hit, both given and received, into a story for the ages. If you enjoyed this wild side through Tyson's life, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and join us for more deep dives into the legends that changed the game. What's your favorite Tyson moment, and who would you like to see next? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.